Hi everybody, we're going to go over the test review for your test on Thursday over industrialization and westward expansion, or otherwise known as manifest destiny. So let's begin. Number 1 on your test review, and you'll simply fill in the missing information as I go through it, and of course you can stop the video at any time to write down what you need to write down. Number 1, during the Industrial Revolution, the making of goods changed from homes, where everything is made by hand, to factories. So from homes to factories during the Industrial Revolution. Number 2, what effect did the Industrial Revolution have on the supply of goods made in America? Well, because goods could be made in factories instead of at home, they were made, many more goods were mass produced, and they were made much more easily and efficiently, and the price of them was also a lot cheaper. So more goods were made because of factories that could mass produce products for people to use. Number 3, what did President Monroe issue in response to the European interest in the Americas? President Monroe issued the Monroe Doctrine, which was a statement to European countries, informing them that they should not interfere with countries in South America that are trying to gain their independence the same way the 13 colonies did, and that if those countries wanted to be independent from Spain or Great Britain or France or Portugal, that they should be allowed to be independent. And if European countries tried to interfere with that, then President Monroe said the United States would defend those countries. And so we were kind of like their bodyguard, so to speak, and we would come to their aid if any of those European countries tried to put an end to independence movements. Number 4, why did Spain cede Florida to the United States? Spain decided the territory was too difficult to defend from attacks by Andrew Jackson and the U.S. Army. And all of these things, by the way, were covered in active classroom activities that you did a couple of weeks ago, and I know that's been a while for you to remember all of that. But Spain decided to sell that territory to the United States because Andrew Jackson kept invading Florida and attacking Native American tribes that were there, in particular Seminoles and Creek Indians. And so those tribes, he went back and forth attacking them, and Spain simply could not afford the money or the men to defend Florida any longer, so they decided to sell it to the United States. Number 6. So there must be a typo on your note page as well. So number 6, what event followed the Indian Removal Act of 1830? The Trail of Tears is what followed the Indian Removal Act that was put into effect by Andrew Jackson. All the 5 Native American tribes from the southeast, from Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and so forth, were put on were moved. They had to walk literally hundreds of miles from the southeastern states to the Indian Territory in the United States. And that Indian Territory is today called Oklahoma. They were moved off their land because Americans wanted the land for farming. And because so many Native Americans died along that trail, it's known as the Trail of Tears. Number 7, what happened in Ireland and Germany in the 1840s and 1850s that led to a rapid increase in immigration. In Ireland, we had a potato famine that wiped out the potato crops for about 4 or 5 years, and Irish were literally starving to death and came to the United States for jobs, to eat, and so forth. And in Germany, a political revolution was underfoot, and Germans could not celebrate or practice freedom of speech and things of that nature, and so they decided to come to the United States, where rights like freedom of speech and press were protected by our Constitution, and they wanted to experience those same rights that Americans had. So many Germans will come to the United States. Number 8, what was manifest destiny? Manifest destiny was the belief that the United States should expand all the way to the Pacific Ocean. This was the idea that God kind of reserved this area in the world for Americans, and that it was our destiny to own all the land between the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. Number 9, a cause-effect graph. So in this box here, the cause is machines such as the mechanical reaper and the sewing machine were invented, and what effect did that have? The effect is that goods were produced faster and easier, and that's something that I said a little bit ago. Machines will have a dramatic impact on how quickly goods can be manufactured and sold and produced easier, more efficiently, and sold for a cheaper price than if they were made in your individual home. In this chart, it says which person and invention completes the chart. So in the left-hand column, we have all the inventors and the years that they invented something. And in the last column are the products that they invented. And so we have a missing space here. This inventor invented something in 1793. What he invented was the cotton gin and interchangeable parts. And down here we have another missing piece. Samuel Morse in 1837 created something, and we need to figure out what that is. So the inventor in this column that created the cotton gin was Eli Whitney. And then down here, Samuel Morse in 1837 created the telegraph. What would be a good title for this chart? So this is a chart about inventions during the Industrial Revolution. So I would say American Industrial Inventions is a pretty good title for that chart. Number 12. Why did Congress pass the Indian Removal Act of 1830? And essentially I referred to that earlier. White settlers wanted the land for farming. Number 13. In the passage above, it says, a new waterway made it much faster to move farm goods from the Ohio River Valley to eastern cities. A new technology allowed boats to travel against the currents of rivers. A new means of transportation made it possible to build new routes nearly anywhere, rather than having to follow rivers or canals. Number 13, which 3 transportation improvements are described above? So they talk about the Erie Canal in this passage. They also talk about the steamboat and the railroad. So the Erie Canal, the steamboat, and the railroad. Number 14. Which 2 groups worked hard as miners and helped California's development but faced discrimination? And those groups were the Chinese and Mexicanos. Number 15. Think of the Missouri Compromise of 1820. Again, that was something in one of the active learning assignments. Missouri was admitted as a slave state, and something else was admitted as a free state. And the state of Maine is what was admitted as a free state, so that there would be an equal amount of slave states and an equal amount of free states that existed in the United States at that time. On your map, it says name and shade in the state above the American Indians were forced to move to as part of the Trail of Tears. So if you're doing this on paper, of course, Oklahoma right here is where they were moved to in the Trail of Tears. Also shading in the area on the map where the Oregon Trail ended. So that's going to be up here in Oregon. And shade the map where gold was discovered by the 49ers. And of course, that's here in California. All right, number 19. Name the invention above. How did it contribute to the expansion of slavery? So just kind of looking at all of this, we have cotton cotton bolls, seeds that are in the tray, brushes, clean cotton bowls, clean cotton gathered, container for clean cotton. So looking at this machine over and over and over again, and I believe it was in the presentation as well. It says this particular machine is the cotton gin, and it is going to increase profits that are made by slavery, because it will make cleaning cotton so much quicker, more efficient. And because it is more efficient and quicker, the slaves that used to be used to clean cotton can now be used to plant more cotton and harvest more cotton, which will require more slaves for plantation owners to purchase and have on hand. Number 20, the annexation of Texas by the United States contributed most directly to the start of which war? And that is the U.S.-Mexican War. And as a result of this war, the United States acquires Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Nevada, and California. Looking at the modifications in this box up here, it says blasting tunnels through mountains, building bridges across rivers, leveling hills, and filling in hollows. These modifications made to the environment were done so in order to create a type of transportation in the 1800s. And the type of transportation it created was the Transcontinental Railroad. Number 22, which religious group of people was forced to move several times before finally settling in Utah? And that was the Mormons. Number 23, what factor during the 1800s led people to move from rural areas to urban areas? People looking for jobs in the cities because of the Industrial Revolution. So factories would be a huge motivation for people to move to cities so that they can work in reliable jobs that aren't dependent on weather, and they receive a reliable wage, better wages than working in the farm industry. Number 24, name the inventor and invention that enabled instant long-distance communication. And that was Samuel Morse, who created the telegraph and Morse code. We see that in the Manifest Destiny painting, or the American Progress painting, where Lady Columbia is holding that wire in her left hand. And that is to represent the telegraph wire. All right, number 25, how did the U.S. acquire the Oregon Territory? A treaty divided the land between Great Britain and the United States at latitude 49 north. This area was disputed territory between Great Britain and the United States, and finally it is settled, by which that area is given to the United States. And finally, 26, list 4 reasons Scandinavians, Germans, Asians, Italians, and Eastern Europeans came to America in the 18 and 1900s. They came for land, they came for freedom, better wages, and overcrowding at home. If you have any questions whatsoever about any of this, please do not hesitate to contact me through Schoology or attend one of my Zoom meetings. Take care.